Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Minecraft Challenge World. I hope that you enjoyed that little time lapse off the start of the video. It's been a little bit since we have been able to do one of those, and, well, let's have a look at this roof, because I don't hate it. I don't think it's terrible. I do think that there's a lot of things that could be done better, and that's the whole point of this little Challenge World series. I think that the texturing we have on it is actually pretty good, where it has varying stages of randomized oxidization on the copper stairs. That I don't mind at all, but it's given me a couple of ideas of things that I would do differently later on down the road and or change in the future. So, we'll just kind of have to see where my roof and home building skills evolve from this point. Now, there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done on the house. Primarily, the biggest things that I want to make sure that I have done is, first off, the upstairs area is not lit up at all. And that's a little bit of a problem because that makes for a little bit of a mob farm. And this is ideally where like the bedroom and other living quarters are going to be set up over here, where I can like rest my head in the evening for nights and rests and stuff. But I also need to put in a little bit of a roof in here, and I'm trying to determine what the best method of that is. It's probably just going to end up being some of these oak slabs and bottom half slabs, so I don't have to worry about lighting or spawn proofing the top portion of this build. So that'll happen probably between episodes, but it's not going to be that difficult because I've got access to a fair amount of wood in order to finish that thing off. Now, if you were astute in your observations during that time lapse, you may have noticed two different additions that we have had to the little spawn area, or not our spawn area, but our farm area here. The first is we do have a series of glowberries that are growing here, and that's just from some of the caving that we did to find the massive amounts of copper that we needed for this build. We were able to stumble into a few mine shafts and got lucky enough to find a couple of glowberries that we were able to then grow up to more of them. Now, I think glowberries are supposed to grow berries on their own, but they will passively grow down in length, which is quite nice in terms of being able to be renewed. And then if you hit any single segment of the cave vine with bone meal, you are going to get these glowberries. That's something that's really kind of nice, so I do appreciate that a whole lot. And I don't have a need for harvesting these up, but they are just kind of a cool thing to have. The other thing that you may have noticed in our little time lapse is this little hut that has been built up, and it contains a fun little friend here that you can see we have named Grimace. So Grimace, he was a little bit dumb. Basically what happened is while I was waiting around for a bunch of my copper to oxidize, he wandered his way into this little pen where my white sheep was hanging out. And so basically all I did is I stood myself up on the edge like this to the point where I was making eye contact with Grimace. He could see me, and he just repeatedly fired his crossbow into the block in front of him. It didn't hit me. It didn't deal any damage. I didn't have to build a shield or anything. And I just kind of sat there for 10 or 15 minutes or so until the crossbow broke. Now, I wasn't there for 10 or 15 minutes straight because I went and did a couple of things in between. I sheared my beehives for more wax. I went ahead and waxed a bunch of the copper and stuff like that, but I would come back and just kind of sit here and wait for his crossbow to break. And if you weren't aware, when an illager's or a pillager's crossbow breaks, they become passive entities. And so I could come up here and stand right next to him, and he's not going to do anything. He's not going to punch me. He's not going to hit me. He's not going to do anything to get rid of me. Now, the other thing that might be a little confusing is, how is he hanging out in here? Why isn't he attempting to escape or get away? And that's because we have a couple of honey blocks down here. I went ahead and harvested up some honey instead of honeycomb out of our bee farms in order to make 9 honey blocks. And that just means that he can't jump up out of here. And if I were to fall down in here, I wouldn't be able to get out either, which isn't exactly what we wanted to do. And then I do have a couple of moss carpets over the top here just to kind of give some of the illusion that there's some grass on the inside here. The texture's a little bit off, but it's not terribly obvious unless you know exactly what type of a difference you're looking for. So he's just going to kind of live here. We'll probably build in a little bit of a story or a shop where technically he's the disgruntled employee of the Illager faction that is here to sell me things. And he's just got a little tent up over his head that is comprised of wool, because you often see this type of structure taking place in or around the little pillager watchtowers that they have. And then, of course, we have the carpets on top just to make absolutely sure that nothing's going to spawn on there, and a little light in here to prevent things from spawning inside or getting inside here with him. Now, that's not going to stop a hostile mob from jumping up onto this block and then wandering their way in, but it should be fairly unlikely that that would be the case. So, yeah, just a fun little guy hanging out over here that we can kind of call our friend, and he can give us things that he will quote-unquote sell, even though it's more of just an illusion of building a little bit of ambience around here. So let's go ahead and sleep this night away. So one of the things that I said that we were going to hold off on doing was going to the end before we had finished that roof. And since the roof has now been completed, I think that it's time for us to start making preparations to go to the end. So let's hop in our nether portal, mainly because here on the other side, we have this warped forest, which is a semi-decent place for us to try and hoard up some ender pearls. That being if we can find, some ender pearls, to see if we can find some endermen that we can aggro and kind of bring over to us. And then once we have dug ourselves a little piece in the cliffside to retreat away from them, we can just kind of knock into them and collect up those pearls a little bit. And these guys over here, there's like several endermen that are just kind of hanging out over here, because one of the changes that was made in 1.16 is endermen will not... they will not despawn while they're holding something. And that is the case with all these guys that are just kind of hanging out over here. And I don't know if the Endermen's AIs behave a little differently when this is the case, or if they were never really correct to begin with. And now... are just a lot more visibly disturbed, if you will, in terms of how bad their AI tends to work, or their passive AI tends to work when missing those different items. So we're just kind of harvest up a couple of pearls, probably get about 16 or so, and then we will go ahead and bring them back home. We've got a bunch of pearls at our base already, though, so we shouldn't be here for too long. Alright, that should give us about 12 of those pearls, or it does give us 12, and I know for a fact that we've got a bunch sitting in a chest back at home. So we're going to go ahead and make our way back just to check what our overall availability is. And then we will be prepped, or be better prepped, to go to the end next time. Why are there 2 of you guys in my basement, though? That's what I want to know. And we'll go ahead and take these guys out. And I was hoping to avoid taking as many hits as possible. As you can see, my Chest plate is down pretty low on its durability. And at this point, I either need to resort to repairing it with individual diamonds or build up a whole new chest plate that I can throw into it as well, which I really don't want to do the latter, but either way, it's going to make it more difficult when and if I want to add mending enchantments once I've taken my villager ban off. And yeah, we've got plenty of pearls to allow us to go over to the end, or at least find the stronghold in the next episode. We're probably going to go ahead and finish or go out to the end next episode, as opposed to just looking for the stronghold, because I feel like we're decently well prepared in terms of being equipped to take them on. So why delay it any further? And the reason I am not doing that today is because it's kind of late and I do need to make sure that I get this video out to meet my daily quota, as well as finalize a bunch of things with moving houses, which is going to be finished by the end of the week. So hopefully that helps my productivity considerably in terms of the videos that I am able to put out. But that is going to go ahead and do it for me today. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure that you leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe for the daily variety content, and I will be seeing you in the next video. Take care, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye, everyone.